everyone, this is Crystal, and if you are new here, welcome. If you're not new, welcome back. It has been a minute since I've posted on this channel, but I thought I would come on today and share with you something that I do in my creative practice fairly regularly. Anytime that I feel a little bit blocked, feel out of practice, and feel like I need a warm-up, this is what I turn to. And there are plenty of variations on what I'm going to show you today, but this is just one of those variations that works for me. Obviously, do what works for you. But so today I am going to do a sort of creative warm-up, an artful play, and get those kind of creative muscles working again to help me work on something that I have coming up. Sorry for the tippy tappies, if you can hear that. My dog just joined us in the studio. So yeah, I have been away from my studio for a little while, about a week since I've painted anything. I was traveling. We also had a very sick kitty who we sadly had to say goodbye to yesterday. And so even though we are still working through that grief and working through life without him, I have a deadline coming up. So needs must. I need to get back into the swing of creating. And in order to do that, I need to, like I said, warm up that creative muscle, get my brain thinking creatively again. And this is one of the best ways I've found to make that happen. So here's what I'm going to do. I have a sheet of 9x12 watercolor paper. This is not high quality watercolor paper. It's just kind of student grade, but it works fine. The goal for today is not to create some finished product that I will list in my shop. It's just to play and get my brain working in this way again, and get into that flow state. So have some fun. That's number one. Have some fun. Do some play and get that creative muscle working. So I'm going to take a sheet of this and I'm going to tape it down to my surface. I'm going to tape it directly down to, this is a glass mat. I'm going to tape it directly down to my glass mat today. I sometimes use an artboard and tape it to that, just because an artboard is easier to move around, and this is the only surface I have in my studio to get stuff done. So if I need to use my computer or anything, like, this is the one desk that I have. So I'll sometimes use my artboard, but it is much more convenient to just use this glass mat, and it works really well. So I'm going to tape that down, and then I'm going to pick a color scheme. So this is the Color Cube. This is volume 2 by Sarah Renee Clark. I'm sure you've seen this around. Lots of people use these for picking color palettes, and I am just going to choose one at random. So no idea what it's going to be. We're just going to grab one. Oh, and there it is. It's all pinks and reds. So that'll be very interesting. And I do so I do always reserve the right to add in some neutrals, just because that kind of fills out the whole kind of art piece. But this will be very interesting to play with. So I'm going to start with watercolors. I have some Kuretake Gansai Tambi watercolors. This is the 48 set, and this is the Art Nouveau set. So I'm going to first start out by picking some colors that match these as closely as I can. They don't have to be perfect. They don't have to be exact, but I'm going to start by just trying to find some colors that are fairly similar, in the same vein, and give me some place to start with. So that's what I'm going to do first. I'm going to grab those and get this taped down, and then I will be right back to show you the next step. Okay, so I have my paper taped down to my surface, and I've chosen 5 colors to kind of go along with this color palette. I have number 71, which is Indian Red. This is number 35, which is Carmine. Number 304, Alizarin Crimson. This is 14, which is Cherry Blossom Pink. And finally, 18, Pale Pink. So those are going to be my colors. I'm going to set this up here where I can see it, just as some inspiration. And then I have them on my palette, and I'm going to spray them with just a water bottle to get them activated. I have two brushes here to start with. One is just a round brush. It's a number 10 round brush. It's not an expensive brush by any means, but it's been one of my favorites for a long time. I really like just the way it feels in my hand. And then I also have a number 6 round brush. This is like a calligraphy style brush, and it has a bit more texture to it, so it gives a little bit of a different look on the paper. So I also have some water up here, and then I also have 2 spray bottles, one of alcohol and one of salt water. And if I get the urge to add some of that into this, I will do so as well. So here's what we're going to do. To get started, we're just going to pick a color, get our brush wet, get it into that color, and get some down on the paper. There is no rhyme or reason to what I'm doing. There's no predetermined method here. There's nothing that I'm going for, no look I'm trying to get. I don't have a goal in mind other than just to play, to have fun, to experiment, and to end up with something that I either learn from or I'm happy with the results of. So like I said, this is not necessarily going to be a finished piece. It certainly won't be a masterpiece that I can showcase. The goal, that's not the goal. The goal is to play, to have fun, to experiment, to learn, and to get those creative juices, as they say, flowing. In fact, that's a phrase that I am very much not fond of, and I find myself saying it because I just don't know of another way to put it. But the idea is the same, right? That you want to exercise that part of your brain and get things working, get your brain thinking in that creative way, that creative mindset that allows you to work, to be creative, to come up with interesting ideas, configurations, and do your art, right? Like that's the ultimate goal, is to do your art. And not that this isn't art, it is still very much art. It's just not the same goal, right? I'm not setting out here to create something I can sell. I'm setting out to create something that makes me happy, that serves a purpose, right? So I'm working intuitively here. I'm just adding color where I feel like that color works or is needed. And I'm also not filling up the entire sheet, and I'm doing that on purpose. I don't want to fill up the entire sheet in this particular case. You certainly can, and I do at times, but in this case today, I'm feeling like I don't want to fill up the entire sheet. So I am just working in the center basically, and leaving some white space. And like I said, this is only step 1. So there will be further steps, right? We will have more steps. You will see how this all comes together. So right now I'm going to add some of this saltwater spray. I really like the way that this interacts with the watercolor, and that spray bottle is very aggressive. So it left a lot of kind of overspray. So I'm going to take this other brush, just because I know it doesn't have anything on it, and just kind of smooth all that out, get rid of some of those splatters. Not that I don't like any splatters, I certainly do like some splatters, and we can maybe turn this into just another area and let that bleed, let that run into what's already there. But this was a bit much for me. So we're just gonna kind of clean that up. I may grab a towel here and kind of sop up some of this and get it off of the page. Okay, so like I said, not going for a masterpiece here, just looking for some creative playtime. So not super worried. And of course, there are no mistakes, right? We all know that. There is no right or wrong. There are no mistakes. You can simply do whatever feels good. And that is the beauty of working intuitively. You just do whatever feels right in the moment. If any of you do yoga with Andrea on YouTube, she always says, do what feels good. And she's talking about your body, of course. Move your body in a way that feels good. But this is the same kind of idea. Move the paint on the paper in a way that feels good to you. Do whatever feels good in the moment. That's what intuitive painting is all about. Okay, so I am going to stop here and let this dry before we move on to the next step. I like to let things dry naturally because I feel like you get a different end look, the way that the watercolor and the salt water kind of interact and bloom and create those gorgeous little areas like we see happening in here. I feel like it works better if you just let it dry naturally. So I'm going to walk away for a few minutes and come back, and then we will keep working on this piece. Okay, so we are pretty much dry now. It's still a little cool, which means it's a little damp, but there are no more puddles, which is really all that matters for the next step. So the next step is to add some texture. I have two acrylic paints. This is a Daler-Rowney in Portrait Pink and an Artist Loft in Permanent Rose. Again, here is the color palette that we are working with. So I tried to get close. I don't have a lot of acrylic paints in pink, so I got as close as I could, and that's perfectly fine. And then I also have some Distress Oxide in Abandoned Coral. There, you can maybe see that a little bit better. Sorry, there's a bit of a shadow. The sun came out and my window is off to the side. And then I also grabbed some stencils. So this is, I think it's called Mod Circles from scrapbook.com. This one is from Illustrated Faith, and this, I have no idea. I have no idea where it's from, but it's well loved and used, and I love the kind of texture it adds to a piece. So I have those three stencils. I also have a stencil brush for the Distress Oxide and a makeup sponge for the acrylic paint. I have not found a good way of adding acrylic paint through a stencil without it getting messy. So if you have any suggestions, I would love to hear them. I have tried lots of different things and it always comes out a little bit messy. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Maybe it's me, maybe it's not the applicator, but I'd love to hear your suggestions. So the goal for the next step is just to add some texture on top of what we have here. You could do that in kind of tone on tone. Like I could add this light pink over here where the light pink is, and this kind of brighter pink in here where the bright pink is, or I could do it contrast. Like I could add the light pink over the darkest part and the dark part over the light part. I think you get the point. It's up to you, however you want to do it. Again, we're just playing, right? We're just playing and having fun and experimenting and seeing what we can come up with. So that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to try this stencil over this section here, and I think I'm going to use this darker. Actually, I need to use the Distress Oxide first. So I'm going to do some of this first because that this acrylic paint will get in the way of me using this. So I think I want to try this stencil, and I think I'm just going to come in kind of in the middle here and see what happens. I apologize if the camera is shaky when I do this. I have discovered that my my desk is not very stable. It's got a wobble to it, and I didn't really realize that until I attached a camera to it. Yeah, that's really wobbly, isn't it? Okay, I'm going to see what I can do about that for next time, but for now, we are just going to have to live with the wobble. And maybe one more spot. I think I'll come up over here. And you can obviously go outside of the lines, like you can add some outside of the painted areas like I just did there. Totally up to you how you want to do it. Okay, I think I'm good with that. So I'm going to move on to the acrylic paint. And like I said, I want to use this stencil over this light part over here. And I think I do kind of want to extend it out. So we're going to see how this goes. I am working on a glass mat so I can put some paint directly onto the mat itself. And then I'm going to use this makeup sponge and just kind of dab and smush and see if we can get a decent coverage here without it going everywhere. Like I said, I haven't had a lot of luck with this in the past, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. And I do love this color. It's a really gorgeous color, but the paint quality is not great. So it's Artist Loft, which is just, you know, a Michaels brand. And it's a bit transparent, a bit kind of watery, which I'm not crazy about, but I do love the color. So I do use it, but it's probably not something I would purchase again. I think I'd maybe try and find this color in a better paint. All right, I think I'm good with that. And now I want to add some of this lighter pink, and I think I'm going to do it in the darker areas. Again, I'm just going to put it directly onto my glass mat. Maybe not quite as much as I did the last time. That's okay. It won't go to waste. It'll get used for sure. I don't waste paint. Even watery paint. I don't waste paint in this studio. Okay, so I just have to figure out what part of the stencil I want. I think I'm going to try right there. This De La Rowney paint is also not an expensive paint. It was something I've had in my stash for quite a while, actually. And it's not as kind of watery feeling as the Artist Loft paint, but it doesn't have good coverage either. So yeah, it's not going to, yeah. Oh, and that, see, this is what I'm talking about. That kind of messy look, it's not my favorite, but I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I don't know how to avoid it. Okay, let's try turning it and maybe right in here. Oh, and I didn't quite get enough paint, so let's get a bit more. Okay, let's try this. Okay, well, that's something. It's not perfect, and that's totally fine. It doesn't have to be perfect. I think I might do a third spot just because I feel like it needs to be a bit more balanced. So I think I'm going to add a bit just right in here. Okay. So again, we need to let this dry. This should not take very long because it's acrylic paint. It'll dry quickly. I'm just going to use up this paint in my art journal while I'm letting this dry, and then I will be right back for the next step. Okay, so our paint is dry, and it's time for the final step, which is mark making. So I've pulled out a few Posca pens and other mark making things, and we're just gonna have fun. And I'm gonna put you on fast forward because this usually takes quite a while for me to kind of figure out what I want to do and where. And the goal here is just to have fun, fill in where you want to fill in, do it intuitively, don't think about it too much. Just, again, have fun and experiment. Again, we're not trying to make a finished art piece. We're just trying to try new things and exercise our creative minds and get back into the flow. So I'm going to put you on fast forward and start mark making. Okay, so I think that I'm going to call this done. So just as a reminder, here was our color palette. I feel like we came pretty close, got pretty close to that color palette. Of course, we added in a few extra things just to kind of fill it out and give it some different values, of course. And we just had fun. And this is certainly not something that, you know, I would list in my shop or that I feel like really good about. It's not, you know, best thing I've ever made or anything, but I'm happy with it. I'm happy with the process and I'm happy with the way that it turned out. And I certainly learned some things along the way. I tried out some products, some mark making products that I hadn't used in a piece like this before and figured out kind of how they interact. And yeah, I had fun. So that is it for today. Thank you so much for staying this long, and I hope you enjoyed watching this process. And I will see you back here soon.